What is going on, everybody? It's the Frost, and we're here for a SmackDown review for October the 30th, 2020, Halloween Eve. And I'm gonna be really straightforward. This was actually not a bad show. Not a bad show. Was it perfect? Hell no. WWE has never done a perfect show in a long while. I mean, this show was the best show since the show they did last year with the NXT Invasion. Just gonna put it out there right there. That's how long ago it's been. But there could have been things they did better, some things that didn't make sense, but a lot of things that are good, and a lot of it has to do with Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, Sasha Banks, and Bayley. By far, the two best things going on SmackDown. Some good wrestling, definitely some good wrestling. Some things that need to be sorted out. And yeah, we didn't win. This is, I think, the first time, I could be wrong, but this is the first Halloween week in a long while where we didn't have some stupid trick-or-treat street fight. Well, I know we had Halloween Havoc on Wednesday with dressing up, with Shotzi Blackheart having a couple costumes, spin the wheel, make the deal, the spooky and all that stuff. But that was it for this week. There was no stupid-ass street fight with tables covered in candy cane and pumpkins and pumpkin pies or treats and stuff. None of that. None of that this week. And I have to commend WWE for keeping it to Wednesday for Halloween Havoc. So we got to the ring, and Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns are out there. Graham Hamilton does the introduction. Reigns stops on stage, and the power goes off. Jey is already in the ring, waiting, because he is about to get his consequences, or have to pay up for his consequences, for losing the I Quit match Hell in a Cell on Sunday. Usos and Reigns face off in the ring. Heyman takes the mic and begins to speak, but Jey snatches the mic from him. He gets emotional and goes on about how Reigns isn't that type of person. He didn't beat him. We did see a video package of the match. They did watch a video package of the match. He didn't beat him. Reigns says Uso can make all the excuses he wants. But he warned him he would make Jey quit, and what did he do? He quit. I love Roman's demeanor and all this. This just fits Joe all the way. This fits him so well. This is the Roman Reigns we needed since the day the Shield broke up. This was the guy that should have went from the Shield. He should have been the one to turn on Seth, to turn on Dean, to join the Authority, because this would have been the Roman Reigns we would have had, and would eventually morphed into the biggest babyface in WWE history. Current history, modern history, not overall. No one's ever going to beat Stone Cold, but you know what I mean. The boos get louder. Reigns tells Uso to make the oath, accept the membership, and fall in line. Jey says that was a snake move, and you can just see the emotion on Jey's face. He's trying everything to hold back the tears, to hold back the emotion, trying not to crack under everything that Roman has put him through. Just like they were kids, he says, always one-upping me. But he cannot get down with Roman. He can't respect him. That title has got Roman tripping, he says. Jey says Roman used the only person in the world he would quit for, his brother Jimmy. Jey says Reigns knew exactly what he was doing, and Reigns agrees. He's like, of course, why wouldn't I? Heyman tells Heyman that Jey still doesn't understand. These are the things you have to do to keep this title, to be the face of WWE. The consequences are real. He mentions that you saw on Sunday my father, our uncle, standing up there. Everybody, from the highest chiefs to the lowest in the rank, all back me. They endorse me. So I'm going to say this, and you're going to do this. You either fall in line or you're out. Jey says he hates him. He's like, I hate you. I hate you. Why do you have to do me like this? I hate you. He's sure Jey does. Roman says I'm sure you do. I'm sure you hate me right now. But I love you. Always loved you. And by the end of the night, you will fall in line or you're out of the family. Roman drops the mic and Jey doubles over, crying. Fake boos get louder. Reigns exits the ring and Heyman watches from the near barrier. Reigns, music hits, stops to look back at Jey in the ring, and he marches up the ramp with the title thrown over his shoulder. Jey stares him down. Reigns stomps on the ramp, looks ahead, saying something to Heyman. They nod, and Reigns keeps walking to the back. Holy shit, I don't know. If this is Paul Heyman's work, if Paul Heyman, Roman Reigns, and Jey Uso is sitting down in a room, mapping this all out, booking all this, and Triple H and Vince McMahon saying, just do it and keep it to this long. If these three guys are the men behind this storyline, let them be and let them do their thing, because this is awesome. This is what we want to see. This is what Roman Reigns needs to be. And Jey, I will commend for the emotion, because you believe that this is breaking him up inside, that he has to do what he doesn't want to do. That if he doesn't do what he has to do, what he doesn't want to do, his family's done. He's gonna have to he's gonna have to do everything he can to support his family without the backing of his family, without the backing of the Anawale family. Everyone's going to turn their back on him. His brother, they're going to turn their back on him and Naomi, his brother and his sister-in-law. The whole entire family is going to turn on the Usos. And it's just going to it breaks his heart to have to do this. And he's fighting so hard to not just break down right then and there. We'll get to what happens at the end of the night, which I'm going to give my opinion on what I hope they would have done and what they actually did. Team SmackDown Survivor Series qualifier Kevin Owens versus Dolph Ziggler. What the fuck is with Kevin Owens and the jeans? What happened to this guy coming out with the shorts on, fighting, like his fighting shorts, ready to brawl, ready to fight? This dude just looks like... Kevin Owens literally looks like the guy who is... He looks like the the guy who has to beat up his son's bully because his son can't do it himself. That's what he looks like right now, and I don't understand why they have this guy going out there and dressing and looking like that. I'm trying to think of a better analogy. I'm just not good at analogies. I'm sorry. It is what it is. But they have this match here. The one, of course, would be the first man on Team SmackDown. Robert Roode does get involved during the beginning of the match. He gets tossed. Match keeps going. They have themselves a great match. And Owens hits the stunner after a block super kick, 1, 2, 3, and is on the spot. Now, if two people in WWE right now sell finishers well. I say 3 probably. Ricochet does when it comes to certain moves. Buddy Murphy does, and Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler sold that stunner almost Rock-esque. He wasn't flopping around and everything like The Rock would do in some with Stone Cold just to get him to pop, but it was one hell of a sell. And that's no pun on what happened this past Sunday. Owens stands tall. You go to replays. Owens grabs Cole headset and says, SmackDown's about to come to Kevin Owens show. Just watch Survivor Series to find out. Later on, we'd see Jey Uso versus Daniel Bryan in the second of the qualifiers of the night. Unlike Raw, we're only getting 2 tonight. Back for break in Natalya. This part right here just made me cringe. Natalya is backstage with producer Adam Pearce, not understanding how the women's team is being determined. Billie Kay comes up and is so cringy. She should not be allowed to talk. Period. I don't care if the moronics are not a thing anymore. She should not be allowed to talk. Her voice is nails on a chalkboard. The tension between them can continue, but Bianca Belair appears and goes on about why she should be on the team. Natalya says she is the boat. Nobody says that. That is stupid. The best of all time. What? Is greatest of all time copyrighted or something? Because WWE... I know WWE likes to copyright things, so they just wanted to go with the boat. You know how stupid that sounds? The GOAT is something it's commonplace. The GOAT, greatest of all time. So you're going to have her be the boat. You know how stupid she sounds saying, I'm the boat. I am the boat. Good fucking grief. Could you imagine if some people started calling Michael Jordan the boat, or, I hate to say it, but like Tom Brady the boat, or Derek Jeter the boat, or Ray Rice the boat? Like, good fucking grief. Who thought this was a good fucking idea? Just have her say the GOAT and move on. I mean, hell, it's not as bad as, I guess, now it makes the GLOAT, greatest lucha of all time, sound a hell of a lot better than the boat. Fuck. A boat is something on that you ride on the water. The boat is not the best of all time. That is stupid. They argue, but Adam Pearce makes a triple threat match because they won't give him the title, but they need to just give him the title because he does it anyway. He makes a title match, a triple threat match. The winner becomes the first woman on Team SmackDown. Now, SmackDown apparently is going to have multiple women's qualifying matches. Why did Monday Night Raw have one, and the tag team champions get put on there, as well as Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke? Oh, that's right. Monday Night Raw doesn't have themselves a viable women's division to be able to do that. Apparently, SmackDown does because they're going to have 5 qualifying matches. And one was a triple threat. So, Natalya and Bianca Belair and Billie Kay, Moronic number 2, whatever the fuck you want to call her, is going to be in a match later on. Please don't drop my phone. You get a video package of Daniel Bryan's return. Grayson's sit-down interview with Lars Sullivan. This was a downer. This part here was a downer on SmackDown. Lars Sullivan. I have a problem with this. Lars Sullivan is supposed to be the freak, the monster, the guy who goes out there, beats everybody up, doesn't give a shit, is a little monster. This is not what you do when you want to make somebody into a freakish monster who just goes out there and beats everybody. You don't humanize him. You don't sit there and have him sit down and talk like a normal person. He goes out there, he beats people up, he hits the freak accident, he gets a win, and he goes home. This was stupid. This was cringe. This was bad. Who fucking booked this? Who thought this was a good idea? Gee, how do we get people to actually want to care about Lars Sullivan? Oh, I don't know. Let's have him sit down with Corey Graves, act like a human, talk like a human, dress like a human, and pretend he's not a monster for about 5-10 minutes. How do you kill a monster? How do you think it would have felt? Yes, I know. Back in 1997, Mick Foley, who was Mankind at the time, had a sit-down interview with JR. And that made him more, that didn't humanize him. That made him more creepy. That made him more sadistic. I know we eventually got Dude Love a year or so, like a year later. But at the time, it didn't humanize Mankind. It made him more sick and sadistic and a lot more creepier. This is not that interview. This just blew so badly. And any monster credibility that Braun Strowman, I'm sorry. I just totally disrespected Braun Strowman. Any monsterish qualities that Lars Sullivan had, they went out the window. This made him look like a geek. Lars Sullivan was gone for a year. Didn't know what to do with him. They didn't know if they were ever going to bring him back. And this is what you do with him? He doesn't like being called the Freak. Who would? He calls the first time the Freak he ever was called the Freak. He was 9 or 10 at school, and the Tracy brothers were taunting him, saying, "Look at the Freak." Like they were singing, "Look at the Freak, beware the Freak," or whatever else. And I'm like, what are we doing with this guy? This guy should be out there mowing people down, beating them up, just stacking up wins, and you have him sitting down with Corey Graves. This was the biggest downer of this show. I wish I could say that this was this was the low part of the show. Plain and simple. Even, I would rather listen to Billie Kay and Natalya argue and bicker like little schoolgirls for an hour than listen to this shit. And to listen to Lars Sullivan act like a human. Yes, I know. In real life, he's a human being. But in the WWE universe, when those lights are on, this is not the real world. This is WWE's universe. He's supposed to be a monstrous freak who goes out there and kills people. Why would you bring him back in the first place if this is what you were going to fucking do with him? This killed him. I don't care any bit, and like I said, monstrous thing out. Any bit of interest anybody had in Lars Sullivan, you threw out the window. I don't even want to go into the rest because it really doesn't matter. Wow, just how to kill somebody's career in WWE. Sit him down with Corey Graves as they're supposed to be a monster and humanize him. Way to go, WWE. You failed Lars Sullivan. Again, get this fucker off TV and release him. Survivor Series triple threat match, Bianca Belair versus Natalya versus Billie Kay. This match was meh. Before that, I don't know why. Bianca Belair goes out, and Cole shows his video package for whatever reason of Seth Rollins versus Murphy and what happened with Aaliyah, Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio, and Rey Mysterio. And I'm thinking to myself, like, why is this video package happening now? You're about to have a triple threat match between 3 women to see who goes to Survivor Series. We're doing something that you could have showed later. We go to the backstage and we see Aaliyah and Murphy. Aaliyah says she's talked to her mom and she's been open-minded and just wants her to be happy. And I'm like, yep, we're going down that route. Yep, we're going there. People called it. I tried to be open-minded myself when this whole thing between Aaliyah and them started going down this route. When they got into the cage and Murphy's dead down there, she just looks down, puts her hand on his shoulder, and then gets in there and celebrates with her brother. I just like, oh, that's nothing. It was just, maybe that was something she ad-libbed because people do that every once in a while. You know, add to her having compassion because she's a Mysterio. She's not a ruthless piece of shit like Seth Rollins is portraying. She actually cares about people, even though about a week or two before that, she was beating the guy up with a kendo stick with her family. Just going there. But yeah, if you didn't see this last week, you knew this was going down that route. But her dad and her brother won't even talk to her about Murphy. Murphy understands why Mysterio and Dominic despise him, but he's not the same person he once was, which is why he will go out there to the ring and publicly apologize for them tonight in front of the world. She asks if he's sure he wants to do this. He says he needs to. He has his hands like in a prayer, like he has his hands like he's praying without saying anything. So she goes over, grabs his thumb. He puts his hand on top of hers. She puts her hand on top of his. And again, we're going down this route. Yeah, we're going down there. So finally we get to the ring and the bell rings and Natalya and them are all out there. And they have a match. About towards the end of the match, Natalya puts Bianca Belair in the sharpshooter. Billie Kay comes in and decides, I'm going to put a shitty fucking crossface on the Bianca Belair. She can't even do that right. Why is this woman in the fucking ring in the first place? She can't fucking wrestle. She sucks. She has always sucked. But Peyton Royce was I'm going to hate to use this term loosely, she was the closest thing to Shawn Michaels in that, while Billie Kay was the Marty Jannetty, and I'm disrespecting both of those men, and I fully apologize. But Natalya gets off of that, and is like, what the fuck are you doing? So, we get to the end of the match. Natalya puts a sharpshooter on Billie Kay. And she looks like she's about ready to tap. Bianca Belair comes in, throws Natalya into the corner. Billie Kay rolls up Bianca Belair. I'm like, oh, please don't. She got her foot on the ropes. 1-2, kick out. So, KOD by Bianca Belair, 1-2-3, and she will be the first woman on the team for SmackDown, which means Billie Kay and Natalya are out. Thank you. Carmella's backstage now with her camera and a bucket of champagne. Someone, maybe a hand shows up as she snaps her finger to show the bucket of champagne. She says there's a difference between who you are and what the world wants you to be. Absolutely true. She talks about being the one who calls the shots, makes her own rules, the woman who will do whatever it takes to get ahead because she plays. She will always win. She says next Friday night, the entire world will all know why she's untouchable. As she snapped her finger again and was handed a glass of champagne, drinks it, and then we hear a photo snap as if someone took a picture, but it fades to black. Nice camera cut. We go back to the ring, and out comes the happy couple, the disturbed couple, Aaliyah and Murphy. They walk in, and they head to the ring. Back from break, and we get a plug for the Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Cole shows us Eugene Coleman supporter and breast cancer survivor in the Thunderdome and they decided to pick out their NFL roots and drew a circle to let us know where she was at. Congratulations to her. Murphy's in the ring now. He says he has something to get off his chest. He understands why Rey Mysterio and Dominic despise him, but he's not the same person he was. He's done terrible things, but as a man, he needs to respond to Rey and Dominic to their faces, and he asks them to come to the ring. We see nothing, no music, no nothing. He says, I am begging you I need to do this. Still nothing. And out comes, finally, Seth Rollins. Rollins says he knows Murphy what he's about to say. Rey and Dominic are never going to forgive you. They are never going to accept you for who you are. Most importantly, they will never accept whatever is going on between you and Aaliyah. He enters the ring. He wanted to come out here, and even though Rey and Dominic will not accept Murphy, Rollins says he will always accept Murphy as he is. He will forgive Murphy for what he's done, and not only does he accept this relationship, he embraces it wholeheartedly. If he wanted to, Rollins would marry them right here, right now. I'm like, are you ordained? Are you able to do that, Seth? I don't think so. That'd be weird. He says there's a place for all of us in the greater good, and he tells both of them that he accepts them. He accepts Rollins, Murphy, as well as you, Aaliyah. And he sees it in her eyes that she's starting to understand that Rollins is not the bad guy in this situation. Every step of the way, her father has forced his hand. He tries to say Rey has been controlling Aaliyah as of late, telling her what she can do, what she could say, who she could see. It is her brother. He's a coward. He sees Aaliyah's getting all the attention, and it eats him up inside. And then Dominic suddenly, out of nowhere, attacks. Rollins turns it around, but Murphy makes the save and throws Dominic off. He sends Rollins to the floor. Dominic turns the Murphy around, and Aaliyah pleads for them to stop. Murphy and Dominic go at it now. Murphy's mounting Dominic. She's begging him, Murphy, get off of him, get off of him. Out comes Rey Mysterio. Those two beat up on beat up Murphy for a minute. They drop him down for the 619. Dominic tells him to go and do it. Rey gets ready to go. Apparently his arm is fine now. But Aaliyah gets in the way and says, no, don't. Just stop. Just stop. And then Mysterio tells her, let's go. We're getting out of here. She's like, no, I'm not going anywhere. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I knew it was coming, and I think it's a little too early. I love him. He's like, what did you say? I love him, she says. And all the little creepy bastards who found out Aaliyah was 19 years old just died inside. Dominic and Rey Mysterio leave. We turn back to them. She picks up Murphy. She hugs him. He hugs her. And then I think they did this just a little too soon, but she did it anyway. She kisses him full on the lips in front of her dad, her brother, while Seth Rollins is on the ramp with the biggest dick smile on his face. The biggest smile to a guy who just knows that... How do I want to say this? It's going to probably be a meme online, with a GIF or a meme or whatever, but just the smile on his face, and he just had that dick look of, like, just, it was priceless. Absolutely priceless. Mwah, chef's kiss. Dominic tries to calm his dad down, and they head to the ramp. Murphy hugs Aaliyah in the ring, and that was that. Let me see. I see the people. I understand why people were creeped out. He's like 30-some years old. She's 19. Here's the deal. She's 18 and older. He's 18 and older. They're adults. They can make their own decisions. Grow the fuck up. If you don't like it, don't watch. Is it a little creepy? Maybe a little bit. But who cares? She's 19. He's 30, whatever. They're both adults. It's a Vince McMahon fantasy booking all the way. He wants to book this type of shit. And hey, all I ask is this doesn't lead to a fake pregnancy angle. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. Do I know if Aaliyah is actually dating somebody outside of WWE? No, I don't know that. Do I know if fucking Murphy's with somebody else outside of this entire storyline? No, I don't know that. Do I know that these two are actually dating or not? No, I don't know that. Do I need to? Fuck no. If it doesn't happen inside the WWE bubble of the universe, of their universe, it's none of our business. Leave it alone. So that's happening, and it is what it is. We'll see where this goes from here. All I ask is we don't do the fake pregnancy angle, or we don't have the wedding happen. The biggest question I have is who's going to break whose heart and how long till it happens. But also, I see it now coming. December, or at the Royal Rumble. If they go down there, we're going to get married, we're engaged type thing between these two. I guarantee you we're going to go to Royal Rumble or TLC, and it's going to be Death Do Us Part. Dominic Mysterio versus Murphy. If Dominic wins, they have to break up. If Murphy wins, Dominic and Rey Mysterio have to leave Murphy and Aaliyah alone. I see it happening. It's going to be Test and Shane all over again. I see it happening. I just see it happening. The only difference is Test was a trained wrestler. Shane was really not. Dominic is a trained wrestler and is getting better every week. And Murphy is one of the best workers on the fucking brand. So that will be a hell of a match when it gets there. It's coming. Watch out for it. We go to Daniel Bryan backstage, warming up, but Caleb Braxton asks about what Jey Uso went through earlier tonight and if this changes his mindset after tonight's qualifier. Bryan says what happened hasn't changed him at all, but what changes is how Jey has been performing as of late. Bryan says Roman has not been able to beat Jey, so he's preparing for the best Jey tonight. Bryan goes on and says whoever wins the match will be the best for Team SmackDown at Survivor Series. Now, absolutely, I would have to agree with Daniel Bryan on one thing. Since this Jey versus Roman Reigns thing has started, Jey has taken his game to another level. He has looked so good in this singles role that he has had. It's funny because WWE broke up the New Day from a threesome to a twosome and a single star. And Big E is supposed to be getting this big push. He wasn't on TV tonight, by the way. Where's Big E? Where's this big push? Whereas Jey Uso is getting a push as a single star, and he is killing it. He is establishing himself as if they wanted to break up the Usos and put Jimmy on Raw with his wife and keep Jey on SmackDown, which I don't want to see them do. But if they were to do that, Jey can handle himself easily. Just tonight, in that first segment, and the match with Daniel Bryan tonight, which he's faced Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns in singles matches, and heel Roman Reigns with Jey Uso has been a hell of a dance partner because they are cousins. Family, you work better with family than you will with anybody else. It's a fact, unless you really, really hate your sibling or somebody you're related to. But yeah, Jey Uso has been on another level, plain and simple. SmackDown Tag Team Champions Street Profits versus Cesaro and Nakamura. This is a non-title match. I read that wrong. I thought I put championship. I'm like, wait a minute. No. Street Profits versus Cesaro, non-title match. This is because Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins are going to Survivor Series as of right now to face the New Day. Should be one hell of a match. Honestly, if you could finally fuse these championships, I would love to see the New Day versus the Street Profits. I think it could be, if they work well together, we can get some more of that magic back that we had from the Usos in the New Day from 2017. The feud of the main roster in 2017. NXT had their own feuds of that year. But yes, of the feuds that they had running in WWE in 2017, Usos New Day was number one. I would like to see the New Day and the Street Profits possibly get that type of feud leading up to a TLC match or something if they were to feud these championships, which they need to. Honestly, with how things are going right now, outside of Roman versus Randy Orton, which I really do not want to see that match, even though, because it's heel versus heel. Bobby Lashley versus Sami Zayn. Those two titles need to stay separate. We need to have two secondary titles so you can have a Grand Slam champion possibility in careers. But the women's championship, the women's match and the tag match need to be title for titles and fuse those two titles, because neither brands have enough to have a viable rosters for both of those championships. Fuse them together and just keep it like that. So this was a heck of a match here. Cesaro, Nakamura really becoming a heck of a tag team. But before that, we see the Street Profits in the ring. They talk about the tag team champions, the New Day they will face. They talk about how the promo on Raw was an imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. They praise the New Day and say they aren't showing up to Survivor Series to get a box of Bootios signed or to serve pancakes. They are showing up to serve L's because they are taking torch. They are taking torch because they are the best of the best. Because they are up and they want the smoke. And out come the former SmackDown Tag Team Champions. So we had this match here. It was a good match. Pretty good match here. Dawkins is just Dawkins is another one of those bigger, heavier set guys who he's not. I know he's no Brian Cage, Keith Lee, or anything like that, but he's no small dude, and he's able to sit there and he's able to go out there and give you some athletic performances that usually wouldn't be reserved for a guy like him. Which, when they break up the Street Profits, because you know it's all coming. I know I just mumbled there, but I guarantee you, I'm not putting money on this, but I should. By December of 2021, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins will no longer be a tag team, because that's the track record WWE goes with. I'm calling it now. If it happens, look back on October 30th, 2020 SmackDown review. I'm calling it between now and next year. Okay, a year from now, the SmackDown 1 year from now, Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford will not be a team anymore, because WWE likes to break tag teams up. Just saying. Nakamura kicks Ford away, but distraction call allows Dawkins to come back and hit Cesaro with the anointment. Dawkins climbs up the top, superplex on Nakamura. Ford follows up with the big frog splash, but the problem I have with this one is that he didn't get the length. He got the height, but But if you watch the replay that they showed a slow-mo replay after the match was over, because this got the win. And you could see that, I don't know if it's always like this, but this one I noticed for sure, that his knees hit the mat before he hit Nakamura. Now, if that's happening all the time, which I never really noticed before, but if that's happening all the time, Montez Ford is going to have major knee problems down the line. Just saying. Intercontinental Champion Sami Zayn is backstage talking about his Survivor Series match and how he represents the people on every continent. United States Champion Bobby Lashley represents just one country, and Sami finds that funny. He goes on about, says he will prove to everyone that the Intercontinental Champion is better than the United States Champion. Out comes Women's Champion Sasha Banks. She's carrying the steel chair, wearing the title. It's a steel chair that was painted by Bayley. That almost ended in kayfabe Sasha Banks' career. We get a Talking Smack. We Street Profits, Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio, and Bayley, Sami Zayn, and Kayla Braxton will host. The announcers hype Banks versus Raw Women's Champion Asuka at Survivor Series at this time. She takes the mic in the ring and talks about walking the Hell in a Cell. She told Bayley she was going to take care of her and take what means most to her, the SmackDown Women's title. By the way, 380 days for Bayley. I think that's the longest reign for any women's champion since Charlotte won. I think Charlotte held it for over a year. Since Charlotte won the Divas title, which was eventually morphed into the Women's Championship back in 2015. 15/16. I could be wrong. She was going to take care the SmackDown. Hold on. She takes a seat in the chair. She talks about how she and Bayley were supposed to take over the company together, but when Bayley tried to end her with this chair, she realized it wasn't their friendship that was unstoppable. It was me. Banks is the blueprint, the boss of Friday nights, and our new SmackDown Women's Champion. Banks says now that Bayley is in her past, she's going on one-on-one with the Raw Women's Champion at Survivor Series, And there is no doubt in Banks' mind that she is the best of the best. Out comes Bayley, because did you really think this was going to be a one match feud? Absolutely not. She wants Banks to think about what she just said. The whole world knows Banks can win the title, but she can't hang on to one, unlike Bayley, who held the title for a consecutive 380 days. Bayley says Banks is lucky she's not coming into the ring to rip her apart. Bayley goes on and says Banks kind of forced her to sign that Hell in a Cell contract under duress, but she's not going to hold it for her. Bayley says she know everyone. I know, you know, he knows, everybody knows. She can't catch it. She can't beat Asuka without Bayley in her corner, and she challenges her to a title match for next Friday and tells her to enjoy her title reign because it ends then. Banks says Bayley is funny and tells her to bring all she has because backstabbing bitches never win. And that's the end of that segment. Now, we all know, and it's how WWE's been, outside of the tag team championships for the women, Sasha Banks has never defended the championship on Raw once. She's won it and then lost it every single fucking time. She was just Raw Women's Champion earlier this year. What happened in her first defense? She lost. Again. Every single time. She has not held the championship she's never been a champion for longer than, I think, 21 days, I think, is the longest she's been champion for Raw. This is the SmackDown Women's Championship. Will the curse continue, or will she have the championship for less than 2 weeks? Again. If they do, what was the point of this? Now, if she retains, hopefully she does, and she goes to Survivor Series to take on Asuka, my one gripe with this entire match is that it should be like a big match. It should feel like a big match, but it doesn't. Why? Because Bayley and Sasha Banks were feuding with Asuka for the majority of the summer. And then we had Asuka versus Sasha Banks for the Women's Championship, not once, not twice, I believe, but 3 times. The first time ended in a schmaz. The second time ended in count-out, which Bayley caused because Asuka had to run to help Kairi Sane, as that was Kairi Sane's last night on the roster. So Sasha Banks ended up winning that championship. And then, of course, the third one was at SummerSlam when Bayley screwed over her partner. And then I think we had a fourth time after that? Yeah, so they faced each other for the Women's Championship 4 times in a month. And I'm supposed to get excited about a 5th match in less than 6. I want to be excited about it. It should be a good match, but I just don't feel like this is going to be it's just one of those matches that I've seen them wrestle before multiple times in a short amount of time, and it just doesn't sit with me well. Had we not had Bayley and Sasha Banks win all 4 championships all 3 championships, hold all the gold, and we have 4 matches between Asuka and Sasha Banks for the Raw Women's Championship, 2 ending by bullshit, and I think the 4th one also ended by bullshit as well with I think it was a lumberjack match. Yeah, I just don't want to be. It's just, I don't know. If this was the first time in 2020 we're seeing Asuka and Sasha Banks wrestle, and I think it's the first time since all the way back in 2018? Did Asuka and Sasha Banks even have a match? I think she had one match with her. But it's been a while. That's the thing. It's just been a while. But that would have been great. It would have been like, oh, this is a big match. Huge match. Can't wait to see this. Hell, the Street Profits versus New Day, I don't think that match has happened yet. That's going to be a big match. Bobby Lashley versus Sami Zayn, I could do without. Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns, the only thing that's going to intrigue anybody is the fact that Roman Reigns is a sadistic and horrible heel now. Awesome in his fucking role. And Randy Orton is Randy Orton, but I don't see anything about that. The only one of these champion versus champion matches I am actually looking forward to is the Street Profits versus the New Day. Because if I am correct, it hasn't happened in a normal tag team match ever. But that is what we have to deal with. We'll have to see what they do. But I'm hoping, I'm really, really hoping that Sasha wins, and then we can go on to face Asuka. Because I really don't want to see Bayley versus Asuka. Those two have never recaptured their moment, their two big matches in NXT. When Bayley passed out to the Asuka lock, and then her last match against Asuka, which I believe was at a takeover or whatever it was. So yeah. Survivor Series team SmackDown Survivor Series qualifier Daniel Bryan versus Jey Uso. And it was at this time, I'm like, wait a minute. It's main event time already. And I'm like, holy shit, it's almost 10 o'clock. And then this also hit me. I'm like, SmackDown, I enjoy. Like, SmackDown doesn't get bogged down as much as Raw. And I love about SmackDown is that it's actually 2 hours. And it goes like that. AEW and NXT on Wednesday nights are both 2 hours. Of course, AEW is a little overrun sometimes because they got to get that extra rating. But for the most part, it's like those go fast. That third hour on Raw is killing Monday Night Raw to the point where it's just not watchable minus Alexa Bliss and The Fiend, and that's about it. But it's just not watchable, and I'm sitting here thinking, this is why I love SmackDown, why I want SmackDown to be the best show of the red and blue brands. Because it's 2 hours, it goes by like that, and you're off watching or reviewing or whatever at 10 o'clock, and you have another hour to do whatever you want before you probably go to bed at 11 or whatever time people go to bed. It's great. Now, Daniel Bryan comes out, he radioed a commercial break, we come back, Jey Uso comes out, you can see the emotion, everything that Roman said to him earlier in the night is going through his head. He's trying to think of what he can do. What can he do can he get out of this? Can he not, is there a way for him to not bend to his cousin's whim? Is there a way for him to get out of this? And he's just fighting with him. He doesn't want to do it. It's killing him inside because he doesn't want to just die, break down like this. He doesn't. So he is aggressive from the beginning. He is just out here on a mission, take all of his anger out on Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan is an unfortunate victim in the mind games of Roman Reigns. And Jey Uso happened to fall victim to him. So we get Uso ends up catching Bryan with a Samoan drop in the middle of the ring, back and forth between the two. Bryan stays in with a yes kick, spin out in the middle of the ring, and he is kicking him not just in the front, he's kicking him in the front, in the back. He is just going all ham on Jey. There I go. Uso ducks and kicks and rolls to the floor. Out comes Roman, and as soon as Roman's music hits, they show Jay's face, and you can just see all the emotion is coming out of this guy. He's like, come the fuck on. Not now. And it's just getting to him. You can just see it's getting to him. So this was a hell of a match here, I will say. Daniel Bryan is by far one of the best to go out there and make anybody look good. Him, AJ Styles are two of the best. Sami Zayn, when he's on, can be one of the best as well. But, yeah. Jey Uso has really, if you wanted to give Jey Uso if you wanted to have a most improved wrestler in WWE in 2020, honestly, Jey Uso has done that in the last 3 months. In the last 2 months, I should say. Yeah, last 2.5 months. I would want to give it to Alexa Bliss with her thing that she's going right now, but nah, this has been one of those things that he is upping his game in the ring, his acting, his presentation, everything about him. The transformation of Jey Uso has been fantastic. I like Alexa Bliss's too, but it's like her in-ring work still isn't there. But I'm just like, overall improvement, Jey Uso is definitely the most improved guy in WWE. You can say Rowan because he's a heel now, but that doesn't really count. But Bryan with a yes kicks in the middle of the ring now with a rolling corner drop kick. He goes for another, but Uso meets him with a super kick to send him to the knees. Uso with another big kick to the face and takes Bryan down. Uso goes to the top, hits the big Uso splash for the 1, 2, 3. And Jey Uso wins and will be on Survivor Series with Kevin Owens. I was like, wow. I figured that things were going to go different and Roman was going to screw his cousin out of this match, out of the Survivor Series, because he's got other plans for him. If he falls in line, he has other plans for him. So, after the match, the music hits, Alan stands tall. Roman enters the ring. They stare each other down. And Uso and Jey immediately says, I'm with you. I'm with you. You're the head of the table. I love you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that was anticlimactic. No apologetic. Not like, it felt like it happened too fast. The motion you saw from Jey at the beginning of the show, obviously he took out on Daniel Bryan. He was way aggressive in this match. He wanted to beat this guy down, and it's like he was seeing everything that Roman Reigns made him go through in Daniel Bryan. He wanted to beat this guy down. So when Roman came in, he's like, I'm with you. You're the head of the table. I'm good. We're good, right? I love you. We see the referee checking on Roman. And then we see Roman, I think he nodded a little bit. Jey turns around, super kicks Daniel Bryan in the face while he's down. Uso gets on top and delivers another splash to Bryan. Uso yells out again and again about he is with Reigns. Uso says he understands now. He loves Reigns too. Goes on about how he understands now. Jey stands next to Reigns. Reigns points at Bryan and tells Uso to make Bryan understand now. Uso exits the ring, pulls Bryan out and unloads on him. Uso launches Bryan into the steel steps and keeps yelling about how he understands. The boos get louder. Uso clears off the announce table, beats up on Bryan some more, places him on the table, goes back up to the ring, climbs up top, and delivers a big splash. Barely, and I mean this, barely hits Daniel Bryan at all. Damn near hurting, like landing rib first onto the corner of the table. So he rolls Daniel Bryan over, mounts him, delivers punches while Reigns watches. You see this like closed mouth smile of Reigns as he makes his exit. He just gets this smirk on his face, and we just see him leaving, and Daniel Bryan is being sacrificed by Uso to his cousin. And the show goes off the air while Daniel Bryan is being punished for pretty much for Jey Uso's transgressions. And that's how SmackDown went off the air. I am a little bummed with how that ended. I think it could have went a little bit better in the long run, but I'm not gonna sit there and bitch and complain. I'm fine with it. Like, Daniel Bryan was the perfect sacrifice. It's the way you want to get good heel heat. Daniel Bryan is the person you get good heel heat on. Everybody loves Daniel Bryan. Everybody. And you have this guy go out there and beat him down to the point where it's just like, when is enough, Jey? Get off of him. You've done enough. And he keeps doing it and doing it. And this guy is just beating this guy senseless. He's not able to do anything, and it just keeps happening. And I'm just sitting like, chef's kiss, whoever doing this, you are doing a magnificent job. This is great. Now, how long does Jimmy have until he's able to come back? Where does he fall in line with this? What part is he gonna play in this? Is Jey gonna beat his brother down and just do what Roman says? We'll have to find out what happens next week. The beginning, the end, Sasha Banks and Bayley carried this show 100%. Kevin Owens and Dolph Ziggler was a hell of a match too. Get that Lars Sullivan shit off of here, because whatever you did tonight killed any interest anybody had in him. And that was very little. But hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. That is your SmackDown review for October the 30th, 2020. Find me on Twitter at The France Club. Find me on twitch.tv/The France Club. Find me on Instagram at The France Club. And I will see you guys on Monday for the next episode of Monday Night Raw Review. Until then, my name is The France, and I'll see you guys later.